Hello, my name is Clark Haskins and I'm with Sage with the North America Center of Excellence. This video will provide an overview of preventive maintenance in Sage X3. The purpose of preventive maintenance is to add the basic functionality of CMMS, Computerized Maintenance Management System, to Sage X3. A CMMS is used to manage maintenance operations within an organization in a more effective way by focusing on preventive maintenance to reduce costly downtime. This would include production and non-production related equipment. A CMS would allow processing for preventive maintenance, planned maintenance, and breakdowns. Now, CMS can also be used to manage regulatory compliance for quality management systems, activities like calibrations and inspections that need to be performed on a scheduled basis and documented to provide proof that task was completed. In simple terms, think of managing your vehicle's maintenance. The same applies to the equipment within a production facility. Preventive maintenance will bring the change oil light to Sage X3. The objective of preventive maintenance are to manage data. The data related to a maintenance task, maintenance component inventory, maintenance-related resources and equipment, and the associated costs. Another objective is to manage the maintenance job ticket. The job ticket will identify the maintenance task or tasks that need to be performed, by whom, what components are required to complete the task, and then capture the cost of the maintenance task, both the planned and the actual. Another objective is to plan and schedule maintenance. We need the ability to provide visibility of what maintenance tasks are in process, what maintenance tasks need to be planned, and what needs to be scheduled. We need to provide a trigger to provide visibility of when a task is to be performed, the equivalent of the change oil light in your car. And preventive maintenance needs to provide reporting. Time spent on a maintenance task, cost associated with the maintenance task, history of what was performed and when, and to capture key indicators such as downtime. The focus of preventive maintenance is simplicity. Simplicity in design and development. Now, preventive maintenance utilizes standard X3 functionality. The approach that was taken was to correlate the functionality of preventive maintenance to the X3 manufacturing functionality of a work order. Think of create a work order, track time and issue components, roll up costs, and manage component requirements. The next focus was simplicity for our customers. By utilizing similar functionality to X3 manufacturing, the customer experience is simplified for training purposes, for internal cross-training, and by using similar processes like material issue and replenishment, tracking, and costing. To provide simplicity for our partners, by utilizing similar functionality, preventive maintenance does not add complication to the implementation of Sage X3. Preventive maintenance was initially designed to meet the needs of the North American food and beverage industry, as well as other process and discrete manufacturing. However, preventive maintenance was designed to provide flexibility. There's flexibility in the functions and the data and how they can be used. Preventive maintenance provides the ability to configure a solution to meet the needs of our customers. Let's take a look at preventive maintenance in Sage X3. Here's our landing page for preventive maintenance. And as mentioned, the basic flow of preventive maintenance is similar to the manufacturing flow and the processing of a work order, where there is a queue to identify what maintenance tasks need to be performed. This has been done using a query. We have our job ticket, which is similar to a work order. Job ticket tracking, just like production tracking. Similar to a work order close, we have job ticket close. And then we have a cost finalization. Now let's dive a little deeper. The maintenance task is identified by a product. I will refer to this product as the maintenance task product. This product is non-stock managed as we're not receiving inventory of the maintenance task product. The maintenance task product will be the parent product for the component list, similar to which is the BOM used in preventive maintenance. It will have a list of components associated with it, as well as a maintenance task, which is similar to routing management in X3. It is recommended that a new product category be created for the maintenance task product. Let's review the product category setup. Here's our maintenance task product category, preventive maintenance task. First, we go to the management tab, stock management set to not managed. Next, on the units of measure tab, we have a stocking unit. In this case, it's set to each. It could be unit or whatever is applicable for the specific category. Next, let's take a look at the accounts cost tab. A new accounting code for the product category for maintenance task products required. In our case, accounting code PM task has been created. Let's tunnel to this accounting code. I want to draw your attention to line 12. Normally for a product, line 12 would be pointing to an inventory account. But in the case of preventive maintenance for a maintenance task product, we want this to point to an expense account. We want the roll-up of our costs of the maintenance task product to be applied to an expense account. The user can define what expense account they use and enter it into line 12. Analytical dimensions can be added, of course, if they're required. For costing, the typical valuation method would be set to standard, and the standard cost update would be set to calculated. Once the product category is created, create a product using the maintenance task product category, and the values from the product category will default into the product. Next, you'll create a product site record. Now for components for a maintenance task, there are no specific requirements for the product setup. Components for a maintenance task are typically stock managed and will use standard X3 functionality. Components can use an existing product category for stock managed product, or one specific to components can be created depending on the customer's requirements. Of course, products and product site records are required for the components. With the maintenance task product created, let's review component lists and maintenance tasks. A component list is the BOM, bill of materials, used in preventive maintenance. A component list is similar to a production BOM. The parent product of the component list is the maintenance task product we see here. The BOM code is the job ticket BOM code. It is distinct to the component list used in job tickets. Otherwise, the fields of the component list are the same as the production BOM. Let's go to the maintenance task we can jump to from the component list function. Now, again, the maintenance task is similar to routing and manufacturing. The maintenance task identifies where the work's to be performed, which is the equipment, by who, the resource, and the planned time to complete the operation of the task. The maintenance task itself is typically identified by the maintenance task product. And like the component list, there's a separate code, a job ticket routing code, that's used to identify the maintenance task. When we go to our operations, you'll note the equipment is always populated first, just like the machine work center is on a routing code. The equipment represents the where. Let's jump into that function. Now, what is equipment? Actually, equipment can be whatever the customer needs it to be. Equipment identifies what needs to be repaired or inspected. The equipment could be a section of a work center, or it could be like a hydraulic system, or it could be robotics. It could also be non-production related. Think of a shipping bay door. Equipment will have a group, just like a work center group. There's an equipment group. Again, this is its own function exclusive to equipment. In the management section of the function, we have the work center. Equipment can be associated with a work center. This helps determine where the equipment is located and provides the ability to identify the work center impacted by a maintenance task. Parent equipment. There is the ability to have a parent-child relationship with equipment. Think of a hydraulic pump as part of the hydraulic system, where both could be equipment, the hydraulic system being the parent, the hydraulic pump being the child. Also, as well, a palletizer is part of the packaging line. Now, the model number, the serial number, and the date of service are available for reference purposes to help with management of warranties, scheduling, and many other things. The location is the X3 location, again, used to identify where the equipment's actually located. And then, of course, equipment status represents where the equipment is in terms of is it in service, is it offline in development, to give that capability to manage equipment and restrict job tickets associated with that equipment. The history section provides visibility of the history of the maintenance task performed, when the transaction related to the maintenance task, the reason code for the maintenance task, the resource that performed the task, as well as the time of the task. Now, the schedule section is used to enter any preventive maintenance tasks or inspection tasks that need to be scheduled in the future, for such as an annual inspection or a task to replace and overhaul. When we're entering a task, we're entering the maintenance task product. We have the ability to enter a resource or a skill set. Now, sometimes at this stage, a specific resource may not be known, but you have the ability to identify what skill is required for that task. We'll get into skills a little more later when we look at the resources. Close out of here, back into the maintenance task, and here we have our resources. We'll jump there. Now, resources are similar to your labor, work center, and a routing. A resource can be a person, or it can be a supplier. Think of a case where you've got an outside company that looks after your electrical requirements. So a supplier could be identified for that resource. Just when we look at our page 1 information, we can identify whether that resource is active, define an active date or an inactive date. The use case for having visibility of inactive resources is that we want to be able to maintain the history and identify who performed that actual task. Should the resource active not be selected, that would prevent putting this resource on a job ticket or using them in job ticket tracking. The structure fields provided to identify the availability of a resource. Costing dimensions are critical to resources. It's costing dimensions that define the labor rate, the overhead if applicable, and the WIP accounting codes as needed. We mentioned skill sets briefly. Skills will help identify which resources can be used for which task, and miscellaneous tables available to define the skills applicable to the organization. What you see before you from the search is a sample of the skills that exist now, but by modifying the miscellaneous table, you'd be able to define, the customer would be able to define the specific skill sets. For example, we've got electrical listed. We might want that to be a licensed electrician versus an electrician apprentice. Just provide that functionality and flexibility for the customer for their specific operations. Back to the maintenance task. Once we've got our resources, we can enter our planned time for that specific operation. And of course, our task time code, whether it's fixed or proportional. In this example, you see that we've got two tasks, both on the same piece of equipment. This is representing that in the first task, we require a mechanical skill set to complete the task. And the second task is an electrical skill set. So we have the mechanical installation potentially, and then we have the electrical portion of that installation. So it demonstrates the flexibility of a maintenance task so that the customer can utilize the function to meet their specific needs for their maintenance department or outside resources. Now that we've discussed our setup for preventive maintenance, we've discussed our product categories and products, our component lists, our maintenance tasks, equipment, and resources. It's time to talk about the transactions. We'll start with the job ticket. We'll navigate through the menu. And let's start with the job ticket entry transaction. Now the job ticket is just like a work order. And the job ticket entry transaction is just like the work order entry transaction. You have settings available to allow multiple products on the job ticket. Settings available to indicate your allocation method for the job ticket. Whether documents will print manually or automatically. You can define what fields will appear, as well as set your analytical dimensions for the job ticket transaction. And lastly, you can define your documents, your material issue slip, and your job ticket. So when we go to the job ticket, when we're entering the job ticket, a unique field we have is the reason code. Here's some initial options that are available, and of course these can be configured if different needs are required. The reason code is to identify the reason for the job ticket. This will help for reporting purposes of identifying where the work was done within the production facility. Job ticket status is available as planned and firm. Job ticket request description. So it's used for a quick entry to identify what needs to be done. Think of a scenario where an operator on the shop floor needs to report a requirement for maintenance. They would enter the initial request. Probably the job ticket status in this scenario would be planned. And they would enter a brief amount of information indicating what the requirements are. So that can be used for reporting in the landing page using a query, for example. More detail, of course, can be added through header text or at the job level, but this field is designed to be user-defined to give some functionality to simplify the view of what's required. And that gives the person who's responsible for scheduling the job tickets a little more detail at a quick glance. Now, on the header section of the screen, the maintenance task product is entered. Scheduling modes defined, we enter our date, priorities the same, and the maintenance task is populated. Components will populate from the component list, and tasks populate from the maintenance task. Now, compared to a work order, the need to add unexpected components and unexpected operations is far greater, just on the nature of maintenance work. And that functionality is available in the job ticket, as you see. Now, once our job ticket's created, we have standard allocation function, depending on how the entry transaction is defined. In this case, it was manual. We'll change our example to detailed and we'll select the allocation. And now you see that our detail allocation's in place. Now there's reports available. These can print automatically or manually depending on the setting. First report's the job ticket. Here's a preliminary example of the maintenance job ticket, defining the task to be performed on this job ticket. And then maintenance material issue slip. Basically listing our components required. In the first case, we've got a lot managed product. The second line is a serial managed product. Both are location managed, and it's identifying the location for these specific products. That is your job ticket. Next is job ticket tracking. Job ticket tracking is similar to production tracking. An entry transaction exists, job ticket tracking entry transaction, where we can define the input as well as other key values. By input, we're referring to task tracking, maintenance reporting, component tracking, or any combination thereof. Start by creating a new tracking record for our job ticket. See how initially the actual resource here is a null value. It's not always going to be known at the time of issuing a job ticket who the resource is. However, the resource is a very key factor to the job ticket. The resource is where the costs come from for labor and any overhead. So therefore, this field has to be populated or we're not able to complete the tracking record. So we've added our resource here. Tab through our fields. And another important fact, so just like in production tracking, you're able to add unexpected operations. You're able to do so in job ticket tracking too, and it may be more important in job ticket tracking as when you're dealing with maintenance tasks, there's much is unknown as you're not exactly sure what the task may entail. So you have the capability of adding additional operations should they be required. Similarly, additional components can be added too. You have a planned job to complete, but find out additional components are required to complete that job. So you've got that capability of adding those components along the way, either during the final tracking or just track them individually. Close out our tracking record. Next in our process is job ticket close, and you'll note how similar this is to the work order close. We'll select our last job ticket. Notice in this case, our complete button is not available since we did complete that tracking record. If we needed to dig into our tracking detail, we're able to through the action button here. We've got a list of our components, the required and the consumed values, and we've got our tasks showing the plan versus actual. So in this case, we accept these values and we close out the job ticket. We want to close and we want to do our cost calculation. And now that we've closed and costed, we've got the ability to use the cost finalization function. This is performing our WIP posting transaction. Thank you for watching our overview of preventive maintenance in Sage X3. Look for additional videos on how to implement preventive maintenance in Sage X3. Thank you.